Hey, John here. Today we are going to talk through Facebook ads versus LinkedIn ads. When should you use Facebook? When should you use LinkedIn? Now, the truth is both of these approaches work. In fact, all marketing approaches work. What you need to figure out is what is the best approach for your exact situation. The goal of this video is to go through the pros and cons and then for me to tell you, broadly speaking, in what general situations you use which platform, and then you should understand in your position what's the best for you. Additionally, before we jump into this video, my company is giving away free marketing strategy audits. Basically, we'll go through everything you're doing at present and help you figure out how to make it more efficient. You can apply for one of those free marketing strategy audits in the link below. So if you get to the end of this video and you're still not sure what's the best for your exact situation, by all means apply down there and I'll just talk you through that one-on-one. So first up, we have B2B and B2C, okay? Facebook is very, very good at B2C. LinkedIn is very, very good at B2B. Now, what do these two things mean? If you don't know, B2B means business to business. B2C means business to consumer. B2C tends to be at a lower cost. So you might be selling something for maybe £5 or £10 or 100, or you could even go up to maybe £1,000, £2,000. Facebook is a very cheap platform, so it lines up better with that. Now, additionally, Facebook has interest-based targeting, whereby, say, for example, I'm running a campaign right now for someone who's running Warhammer 40,000. They have a platform for Warhammer 40,000. We can target people based off their interest in Warhammer 40,000. You can't do that on LinkedIn, okay? And that's the reason why Facebook is really, really good at B2C. Additionally, you have lookalike audiences on Facebook, which are fantastic. You pump in a load of emails that you have through your mailing list, people who've previously bought, and then it will map out all these different data points and create your ideal customer, and then it will just throw ads to them. In my experience, this works very, very well for B2C, but doesn't work so well for B2B. Now, conversely, on the other side, LinkedIn is very good for B2B. Why is it good for B2B? Firstly, it's because of the targeting, okay? LinkedIn has an element of targeting that Facebook doesn't have. LinkedIn, you can target based on people's exact job titles, their job roles, the size of the company they work for, all this other information that Facebook doesn't have. So that's the advantage of LinkedIn and why it's so good for B2B. It's a B2B focused platform. People are there for business and they've self-reported way more business information than they have done on Facebook. Now, in terms of cost, I mentioned previously, Facebook is a very, very cheap platform. LinkedIn is an expensive platform. Why is this an issue? So, or how does this lead to our pros and cons? Facebook being cheap means that your order value can be lower. You can be selling things at £5, £10, up to maybe £1,000, and you can still make profit because it's cheaper to get in front of more people. LinkedIn is a way more expensive platform. It can cost nearly 4 times the same amount to get in front of the same amount of people on LinkedIn than you would on Facebook. And it's more expensive because of that different element of targeting. As a result of it being more expensive, but you being able to get in front of the right people, you need to have higher average order values. If you're selling something and you're only selling it for £100, but you're selling it on LinkedIn, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to get any return on investment, maybe even genuinely impossible with the best campaign you could possibly run. However, if you're on LinkedIn and you're selling a service which has an average order value of maybe £30,000 a year, and then over the lifetime could be worth £150,000, LinkedIn is the place to go. It doesn't matter that it's 4 times more expensive because you're making 30 times more on your average order values. In terms of the pros and cons and what separates the two platforms, they're the main things that make the difference, okay? There are a few very minute things that will make a difference, and in a minute I'm going to talk through in which instance you should use which platform to advertise. Now, one thing you can consider is an omni-channel approach, which is a term that gets branded around a lot, and that's using LinkedIn for one element of your campaign and Facebook for the other. What I'm talking about specifically is something called remarketing. So if you don't know what remarketing is, basically someone's been onto your website, you have a LinkedIn tag or a Facebook pixel installed on there, which captures their information and means that you can remarket to them. So they've been on your website, they decided not to do anything, they left, but for some reason, when they're scrolling through their newsfeed the next day, they keep seeing ads for your company, right? That's called remarketing. Now, remarketing, if you're addressing people who've already been on your website, it doesn't matter whether you do that on Facebook or on LinkedIn, because it's going to cost you 4 times the amount to do it on LinkedIn than it does on Facebook. So what you can do is, if you're B2B, this is kind of advanced by the way, but I'm just letting you know because it's really interesting. If you're B2B and you're running traffic to your website, but then you're finding you need to remarket to them several times then to make a decision in terms of interaction with you, you can remarket on Facebook, which is a quarter of the cost, because they're the same people. So you bypass the targeting issue that you have with B2B on Facebook, and you basically get them initially interested through LinkedIn, and then you remarket on Facebook, and therefore make your ad spend way more efficient. So when should you use which platform for your exact situation? There's a very simple rule. If you're B2C, you should be using Facebook. If you're B2B, you should be using LinkedIn. In terms of a little bit more around that, if you're B2C, you should never go to LinkedIn. You should always be Facebook. You're never really going to make enough money on LinkedIn. There might be some very, very fringe cases where it might work, but you should never go there. However, if you're B2B, you can sometimes use Facebook to your advantage. If you're targeting really small business owners, there is functionality on Facebook to target small business owners, but just know they are going to be small business owners. You're not going to be able to consistently get in front of the CEOs of 1,000 person companies as you would on LinkedIn. And another thing to consider that's going to slightly adjust what's best for your exact situation, other than that core rule of B2B, B2C, is where someone is in the process of them committing to an interaction with you. So for example, as I said earlier, if you are B2B, you can get someone in the door using LinkedIn so they're initially aware of you. That's a visibility exercise, and then you can remarket through Facebook, okay? So that's another thing to consider. Now, as I said at the very start of this video, my company is giving away free marketing strategy audits. On that marketing strategy audit, we will go through everything you're doing with your marketing at present. You can even ask questions. And we'll figure out what you can do to make your marketing more efficient. The call is 100% free. It's 60 to 90 minutes with myself. A lot of value. We'll go through everything in extreme amount of depth. To get the call, all you need to do is apply via the link in the description below. However, we only have a limited amount of places for those free audits. We genuinely get quite a few applications. And because we only have a limited amount of spaces per week and per month, we can only fulfill a certain amount. So if for whatever reason we don't get in contact with you, I'm really sorry. You might want to apply again in a month or so, but take advantage of that link in the description below. If you have any really short questions as well, just put them in the comments section. But I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do want more of this sort of stuff, just subscribe to the channel, press like, or just say hello in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon.